5 years ago, I had an anxiety attack that completely changed my life. This was when I was working full-time as an orthopedic surgery PA, and I was running Ransomed Bodies full-time as well. So I was doing 2 full-time careers at once. And I was scared to give up my career, my passion for medicine, being a PA. And so I held on to that career until the last minute. And the last minute for me was when I found myself curled up in a ball in the kitchen, just because of the pressure, because of the anxiety, because I just couldn't take it anymore, because it was just too much on me. And anxiety has been something I've definitely dealt with for long periods of time, and praise God, I haven't dealt with those battles in 5 years. After going through that experience of being curled up in a ball in my kitchen and my wife, having to come and help me, I really went through a long healing process to overcome that. And a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about today, I'm not talking about just in practice, I'm talking about in practicality. Like, these are things that have changed my life and things that I believe will change yours. First and foremost, I had to get to a point where I realized that I deserved to have peace. And one of the Bible verses that got me through this moment it's a verse, it's in Colossians 3:15. It says, "And let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts." And peace did not rule in my heart for a long, long time. And whether you're a Christian or not, I do believe that every individual should operate from a place of peace. Every individual does not have to operate from a place of anxiety or stress all the time. And I think especially when you're a high performer, when you run your own business, you're maybe juggling a lot of things in your life, you've done a lot of cool things in your career, get used to stress. You start to get used to this feeling of anxiety or overwhelm. And you're like, this is just normal. This is just how it is. I just got to deal with it. But you don't have to live that way. You can live and operate from a place of peace, even with high capacity, even with a big workload. Right now, I have more on my plate than ever before, having 4 kids, running a global business, multiple businesses, and I work all the time. I work a lot. But now the difference is I operate from a place of peace, and I haven't dealt with anxiety like that in 5 years because I'm doing these things that I'm going to talk about with you today. Peace is now my standard. So my standard isn't anxiety. My standard isn't stress. It's operating from peace. So when I am not in a place of peace, I stop and I change that real quick. So for so long, I used to just believe this is how it is. This is just what it takes in order to get to the next level in my life. But it doesn't have to be that way. So here are the 9 things that are killing your mental health that you can break free of to operate from a place of peace. Number 1 is social media addiction. Constantly scrolling breeds comparison and FOMO. So what I was doing in this moment was I was looking at other people's lives. I was looking at other people's highlight reels and like, why can't I live like that? Why can't I have that car? Why can't I have that business? Why can't I operate at that level? And you're only looking at other people's highlight reels all day long. And so it creates comparison. You look at someone else, you're like, why can't I look like that person? Why can't I lose weight like them? You also look at someone's relationship. You're like, why can't I have a relationship like that person? Why can't I go on a vacation like that person? And it also creates what's called FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. And so if you think about it, if you're on your phone as much as most people are, 3, 4, 5 hours per day, all you're doing is living in a constant state of comparison and FOMO. And what does this do? It causes you to have resentment for your own life, causes you not to live in gratitude for your own life. And when you're not in gratitude, you're in anxiety. You're not at rest. So social media is not real life. And I say this as someone who makes a career off of social media. It's not real life, and you have to set strict time limits with your social media uses. Your social media should serve you, not you serving it. And so if when you go on Instagram or you go on YouTube or you listen to podcasts or whatever, and you feel those 2 things, you feel comparison or you feel FOMO, you need to set boundaries with that thing. If there are people you follow on social media or emails that you subscribe to and you feel FOMO or you feel comparison or you feel less than, then you should unsubscribe or unfollow that person. You need to curate a social media, you need to curate a digital environment that is conducive to the life you're trying to create. If your phone is holding you back in your life, you have to set strict boundaries around that time. Use that time to connect with real people. If you're not connected with real intimate relationships and the only relationships you have, like deep relationships you have, are with someone else on the other side of the screen, that's going to create stress and anxiety in your life. So what do you have to do? You have to audit who and what you follow on social media. Every single day I'm doing this. If I'm on social media and I see videos that cause FOMO or they cause comparison, I'm like, oh, why don't I have abs like that person? Why don't I have a following like that person? Why don't I have this like that person? I recognize that in myself, and then I say, I'm not going to subscribe to that. Good for them, but I'm not going to follow them. So every day I'm unsubscribing, I'm unfollowing, sometimes even blocking people that are not helping me become a better version of myself. I want my phone to serve me, not me serving my phone. The second thing is negative self-talk. The number one symptom of depression is called rumination. So what is rumination? Rumination is when you think and talk about your problems all day long. Have you ever been around someone that's like that? It's exhausting. Someone that's just so negative all the time. All they do is look at the worst case scenario. They're a glass half empty type of person. It's exhausting. And if you're like that, maybe you're like that in your head. All you do all day long is think about the worst case scenario. You obsess over your own pain. You obsess over the things you did wrong in your life. You obsess over the things that you regret. You shame yourself. You tell yourself you're doing such a bad job. Your inner dialogue shapes your reality. So constant self-criticism erodes confidence and motivation. So if all you're doing is you're criticizing yourself, no wonder you're not motivated. No wonder you're not confident. And my internal belief is this: we have so many people in our lives that are out to get us. Like, there's people in our lives that don't want us to win. So why are you not wanting yourself to win? You need to be your biggest cheerleader. No one should believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And so I know for me, like, I have to believe in myself. I have to believe in my own abilities. Self-criticism will kill my dreams, and it will kill yours. It'll kill your confidence. So how do you overcome this? You practice what's called self-compassion. So every time you find yourself ruminating on the things that are going wrong in your life, you practice self-compassion. You speak to yourself as you would a close friend. You wouldn't tell a close friend that they suck or they're lazy or all these things that might go through your head, all the stories you keep telling yourself. Why do you tell you that? We are our own biggest critics. Stop criticizing yourself so much. Start cheering yourself on. This is the power of affirmations. This is the power of gratitude. Like, all of that stuff is important. And if you're constantly tearing yourself down, no wonder you're not motivated the way you need to be. Number 3 is you ignore your own stress. So the way that I was raised and the way I lived my life for so long was, if I felt something emotionally, I would suppress it. Oh, I'm feeling anxious, push through, man up. That's what I was taught, right? Man up, Trent, push through, get through it. Like, you can handle it. This is just how it is. This is what it takes. Chronic stress is a silent killer of mental health. And a lot of us that have high demand careers, we just learn to manage the stress. We're like, this is just how it is. I'm just trying to survive. But you are not meant to survive. You are meant to thrive. And it's a completely different thing. Surviving just because you can get by with high amounts of stress doesn't mean you're thriving with high amounts of stress. Stress affects everything from sleep to your relationships, to your body, to your ability to lose weight. Like, specifically when it comes to weight loss, if you are living in a high stress environment, if your life is stressful, it's like going up a hill on your weight loss journey. It makes everything so hard. So how do you fix this? You practice daily stress reduction techniques. So things like deep breathings, things like meditating, journaling, prayer, all of that stuff is a game changer. And sometimes you have to make big sacrifices to deal with your stress. Sometimes that might mean literally cutting people out of your life that are stressful. Sometimes that might mean cutting out that side hustle that is stressful, or changing jobs, or changing what shows you watch on TV. Like, what is causing the stress internally? Can you change that? Can you change your environment? If you live in a stressful environment, can you shift your environment so it is not stressful? Number 4, loneliness. Social isolation, being by yourself all the time, will kill your mental health. And so a lot of us, what we do is we go to work, we come home. We go to work, we come home. Maybe we go to the gym. Maybe you don't go to the gym. Maybe you work out at home. So you're living in this constant state of social isolation. You're around people all the time, but you're not with people. And there's a big difference. Just because you're surrounded by people doesn't mean you're actually in connection with other people. And maybe the only connection you have is just with your family. Or maybe the only connection you have is with coworkers, and the coworkers are negative. The coworkers are criticizing and negative and ruminating and all the stuff we just talked about, and that's why you feel that way. So you have to put yourself in environments and social environments of positive people, positive influences. And this might mean getting out of your comfort zone. This might mean going to a coffee shop. This might mean going to a new gym that is positive and that you surround yourself with good people. This might mean going to social gatherings and getting uncomfortable and meeting new people. This might mean getting out of your normal routine. This might mean joining a program or a community. But if you're not surrounding yourself with positive influences, with positive people, you will be like the people you do surround yourself with. Because most of us, the main interactions we have are at work. And if your coworkers are not positive, or maybe your main interaction is with your family, if your family isn't positive, if they're not living a life that you desire to live, that thing's gonna rub off on you. No matter how strong you are, it will. Number 5 is poor nutrition. I don't think a lot of us understand how your nutrition impacts your mind and your mental health. You can't feed your brain junk and expect peak performance. You're eating ultra-processed foods, which leads to inflammation, which leads to mood swings. Like, even for myself, food isn't just about macros and calories. It's about how I feel and how I perform. So let's say I do have room to fit in cake or pizza or whatever, or pasta into my macros. tomorrows, sometimes I still won't have that thing because I know it's going to cause my mind to get foggy. It's going to cause my energy levels to drop. It's going to cause me sometimes even to think negatively when my diet is not locked in. There is a direct correlation between the quality of your nutrition and the quality of your thoughts and your thinking. Straight up. So if right now, you're not motivated to eat clean because it's hard to lose weight, do it for your mind. Fuel your body so that you can fuel your brain. And so you got to break free of this thing. You got to break free of a bad relationship with food. You got to break free of going to food when you feel stressed or emotional. Focus on whole foods and increase your intake of things like leafy greens, things like fatty fish, things like nuts and seeds. Like, make sure you are giving your body the nutrition it needs. All of us know we need to eat healthier. We know we need to eat cleaner, but sometimes we don't understand the impact of not doing those things. When you start to master your nutrition, you master your relationship with food and your diet, you perform at such a high level. You have more energy, you have more focus, you have more clarity, you have more intentions, and it's a game changer. Number 6 is neglecting your own personal growth. Stagnation is the enemy of mental well-being. So what happens for most of us is we graduate college, congratulations, or maybe you graduated high school, and we stop learning. We stop challenging our brain. Without challenges, we lose purpose and drive. So if all you're doing is going to work, doing your tasks, coming home, watching entertainment TV, and you just keep repeating that, no wonder you feel mentally stressed out and mentally off. Set regular personal development goals. Learn something new every single month. Maybe that's reading a book. Maybe that's listening to a podcast. Maybe that's taking a course. Are you constantly challenging yourself and challenging your brain? Because most of us, we stop learning at the age of 20 or 25, and we wonder why we feel stagnant in life. You need to be learning things on a daily basis. And I feel like I've learned a lot in my life, but there's so much more I have to learn. No, none of us know it all. None of us know it all. Remember, small, consistent changes lead to massive results. And so you need to set time aside, no matter how busy you are, to your own personal development and your own personal growth. Maybe it's learning a communication skill. Maybe it's learning a new language. Maybe it's learning more about nutrition. Maybe it's learning more about your body. But pick something, anything, I don't care, and learn it. Your mental health is worth the effort. Just because you feel like you don't have time to learn more doesn't mean you can't make it happen. This is where habit stacking comes into play. So what habit stacking is where you stack a new habit with the current habit that you have right now. So let's say, for example, you're like, I don't have time to learn something new. Cool. Well, you drive to work every single day, so why don't you get an audiobook and listen to a new skill when you're driving to work? Maybe you listen to something when you're at the gym and you're working out, or when you're doing your steps, your 10,000 steps. That's how I like to learn. Most of the things I learn is when I'm doing something else. So it's when I'm driving, it's when I'm at the gym, it's when I'm doing my cardio, because I don't have as much time to sit at my desk and learn something. So what I do is I like to listen to things and I learn that way. Number 7 is chronic sleep deprivation. Sleep isn't just rest, but it's actually your brain's recovery time. Just because you can get by, again, with 5 hours of sleep, the same way you feel like you can get by living a high stress life doesn't mean you're thriving, it just means you're surviving. Consistent poor sleep leads to mood swings, it leads to increased stress, it leads to impaired decision making. Your sleep impacts every area of your life. So how do you fix this? You got to set a consistent sleep schedule. I don't care how busy you are, you have to prioritize your sleep. For some reason, we think sleep is just like this optional thing, when the reality is you sleep a third of your life, 33% of your life. So for you to just push this off to the side and be like, oh, I'm too busy to get a lot of sleep, that's a lie. That's not cool. You have to prioritize your sleep. Aim for that 6 hours a night minimum, 7 hours ideally. Obviously 8 hours would be great, but if you can start actually getting a quality 7 hours of sleep, it will be a game changer for you. And this might even be just going to bed 15, 30 minutes earlier. And the reason why I'm so passionate about sleep and why I believe so many people actually can benefit from this is because the average person goes to bed at 11:30 at night. So if you're going to bed at 11:30 at night right now, if you started going to bed at 11, that's 30 extra minutes of sleep. I really believe that most people do not need to stay up past 10 o'clock unless you have a night shift job. If you have a regular 9 to 5 or you work regular hours, there is zero reason you should be going to bed past 10 o'clock at night. Zero reason. The only reason you feel like you need to go to bed so late is because you feel like you need to wind down. But guess what? You will get much more rest and you will feel so much better if instead of winding down for 2 to 3 hours every night, you cut 1 hour off and you got an extra hour of sleep. I know this from personal experience. I used to believe this too. Oh, I need to wind down. I need to watch my Netflix and do this thing. It's okay to watch Netflix. It's okay to watch TV. It's okay to wind down for a little bit, but getting more sleep is much more important and much more impactful on your overall lifestyle and on your overall life performance. Number 8 is neglecting physical activity and neglecting your physical health. Your body craves movement. Movement alleviates anxiety. One of the things that I found was when I got super busy and super anxious, I would actually neglect cardio and neglect movement. Yeah, I would still lift weights, but any movement outside of that was gone. A sedentary lifestyle also equals a sedentary mind, mental stagnation. So when you move your body, it literally has a chemical reaction in your body that helps your brain. So regular exercise is gonna boost your mood, it's gonna decrease anxiety, it's gonna improve cognitive function. I perform as a better husband, leader, father, friend when I'm moving my body. Now, if you feel like you don't have time to do this, start with just 10 minutes of daily movement and build up from there. Even on my rest days, I still like to move. So even on days I'm not actually lifting weights, I lift weights about 5 times a week, I'm still going to move my body. I'm still gonna go outside, go for a walk. Maybe I'll do some stretching. I'm gonna do something for my physical health because I know prioritizing my physical health 7 days per week, not just 4 days per week or 5 days per week, 7 days per week will change your life. Number 9 is the perfectionism trap. The goal isn't to be perfect 100% of the time. The goal is to be 80% consistent 100% of the time. Striving for the impossible leads to burnout and self-doubt, period. So you want to focus on progress over perfection. You want to embrace being good enough. Done is better than perfect. This is absolutely something that has changed my life as an entrepreneur, is the mindset that done is better than perfect. The mindset that finishing something is better than, oh, I'm still working on it. And when you live in this perfectionism mindset, you have these unrealistic standards that are impossible to meet. The thing that's going to get you to the next level isn't quality, it's quantity. It's doing things more, getting it done more. You want to know how you actually get good at tracking macros? By actually tracking macros. So many people are trying to track macros perfectly and then they never do it. But just commit to tracking macros for the next 100 days, quantity, and you will get better because of it. The quality improves. So quantity happens first, then quality happens later. And so a lot of us are focused on quality. We're like, I got to do this thing perfect, but we're neglecting the quantity, the amount of times we're doing it. I've literally posted on social media over 3,300 times. The first couple hundred posts sucked, but the more and more I did it, the better I got at it, the better the quality happened. And so my philosophy is do it, put in the reps, do the quantity, and then the quality comes after. So if there's something you feel like you're not good at right now, it probably just requires more quantity, more times for you to do it. And so the way that you do this is you embrace the good enough mindset and you start celebrating small wins. I celebrate the fact that I showed up and I did it and I put in my best efforts and I surrender the outcomes. Show me your habits and you will show me the quality of your life. You will show me the quality of your mental health. A lot of us feel like we're trapped in our minds, that the thoughts in our brain just cannot be changed, but they absolutely can when we shift our environment and we shift the way we live our lives. And now this isn't something that's gonna shift overnight and change for you right away, but when you start attacking this head on, you actually prioritize your mental health, you prioritize putting yourself first, you can change the way you think. You can operate from a place of peace and not a place of anxiety or stress. So I hope you got value from this. If you did, please let me know. You can win the war with your mind. It just takes you going to war with your mind.